Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our prospecting and farming class. My name is Robert Rodriguez, and I'll be your instructor for this session. We are using Miami's tools Remine and Rebogateway in order to find those listings. We are looking for sellers who may want to list their properties. We're looking for ways to reach out to our communities and our farm areas. This webinar is being recorded, and we will be placing inside of our YouTube pages as well as our Facebook pages and the Miami Association of Realtors website. Later on today, we'll go ahead and place them, and feel free to join the association's webpage or our YouTube pages to follow along on this webinar again. So here we are inside of the Miami dashboard. And we're going to first start with our Remine program. This is one of the newest programs we have here at the association. It is included with your membership. And we're going to go ahead and click on Remine, and we're going to get started. When prospecting for sellers, we're looking for listings. We're basically fishing for leads. And when we're actually prospecting, we have to work. We have to do the groundwork. We have to prepare. So Remine will let us find out as much information from any neighborhood or owner of a home as possible. So what I like to do first is kind of get you oriented with this program. So if you look up here, we have the search bar, and then we have the discover bar, and then we also have track and engage and notifications, and off to the right you'll see your name with the word starter in parentheses. This means that you have a basic package, and Remine does sell elevated memberships to their program that we'll discuss a little later. And what we have here in the primary navigation, we have the filters for bedrooms and bathrooms, square footage, year built, lot size, basement, parking, and number of floors. We move on to the map, and what we have in the map is the ability to draw a circle, a radius. We can draw a rectangle or a polygon around any neighborhood. Off to the left, what you're going to see are additional filters like our tracked properties. And in a little while, we're going to go ahead and mention what tracked properties are. We also have filters like Mls Status, Airbnb. We have filters like last sale price. We also have mortgage rate. We have ownership time. We have mortgage age. We have a few filters that are locked, like home equity and property values as part of the upgrades. However, I will show you how to determine home equity and property value without using these filters. And then you have additional filters like sales score. You got land use and building type, and the very last filter that's open to us is cash buyers. So we'll be able to identify where are the cash buyers in a particular neighborhood. So what we want to do first is we want to make sure that you know exactly what information you're going to receive when you pull up a property. So what I like to do is up here in the address in the search bar, I want to put in an address that we want to study. So I'm going to put in 1020 Obispo. Obispo Avenue. This happens to be an address here in Coral Gables I often go in and study. So here we go, 1020 Obispo Avenue, and we're going to click, and then you should see a pop-up window like this, a little pop-up box or rectangle. You're going to click on the address, and the address is going to open up the property. Remine has information on every property in the entire South Florida region. It also has MLS information, so if the property were listed, it would tell you that it is listed and for how much and all the MLS details. So here we are looking at an off-market property which last sold in January of 2017. It is off the market, and it is 1020 Obispo Avenue. And what we have is details on the property, like the net equity. Says it has a net equity of $997,557. We will discuss how that net equity is determined in a little bit. So right here we have owner and how long they've been at the house. So roughly a year and a half now at the house. So we have the Google Maps showing you where the house is located on the map and also the street view, allowing you to take a peek around the neighborhood and see what the house looks like and the neighbors as well. Underneath, you get your public records. So the public records is similar to what you find on public records in Miami-Dade County or even IMAP and Realtors. It's going to give you the legal description. It's going to give you the tax bill for the previous year, 2017. It's going to give you key stats, structure, parking, flood zone. For flood zone and flood risk, it's telling you this is low to medium flood risk. Okay. And then right off to the right, you're going to see net equity. Now, the net equity is going to be using a formula that will get the estimated value of the property, and then they're going to figure out whether there is an actual balance to the mortgage, and then they're going to give you the difference. So knowing the outstanding balance of any mortgage is not public information. But when a property owner purchased the property cash and they have not taken out any mortgages, therefore in this case you got a value of $997,000 and you have a net equity of $997,000. They have not taken out any mortgages. Suppose they took out a mortgage 10 years ago, and if you follow an amortization schedule on whatever interest rate they took out, they're going to estimate what the balance is based on their payment schedule. So it's really cool information that allows us to estimate what an owner has in equity in their home. Moving on down, you have the schools in the area with their grades. Further down, you have a valuation tool. So you got an average valuation estimate, and it's built on 3 actual valuations. So what we have here is First American. That would be your MLS, and your MLS is valuating the property at $997,557. You also have Zillow, which is valuating the property a little higher at $1,136,000. And you have another one called Appraisal, which is valuating the property at $1,172,000. We tend to always use the MLS valuation. Seems a little bit more accurate. So that's why when determining the equity, we're going off of the $997,557 and not the $1,102,000. Keep in mind that these are not comparables. These are just estimates. And if you wanted to know the value of the property, you would have to use one of our other programs like RPR to determine a value for the property. All right, moving on down, you have demographics. You have information about the demographics in the home, education and career, income, and owner residence in this neighborhood. Moving on down, you're going to get property history, and you're going to see that the last purchase was done in February 13 of 2017, and we have the the owners, and then down here you also have the transaction of the previous transaction, which was in 2004 for $650,000. Now the mortgages on the property, notice that the current owner does not have a mortgage on the property. We have a 2005 mortgage taken out with Wachovia Bank, a 2004 mortgage taken out with USA Mortgage, and the years previous to that. So current owner has no reported mortgage on file for this home. And then you have the associated people. Similar to what you get on the white pages, you're going to get information on the owners of the property or anyone living at the property. So what you have here is associated people, and then you're going to get the 2 owners who live at the property right here, Christine and Samit. And these are owners that you guys are able to purchase the contact information by clicking Buy Contacts. Now for the entire household, everyone that lives at the household, you're able to obtain their phone numbers, their email addresses, and their social media accounts. Now, you may ask, how is this possible? Well, Remine uses several databases to get this information. If you guys are familiar with your cell phone and mobile devices, each and every time you install a mobile application on your phone, you're pretty much asked to allow that application access to your phone. So sometimes that data is found by other people and then sold to companies like Remine, which get the data. So they promise to give you people's phone numbers, email addresses, and then their social media accounts for $3 for the entire household. Not per person, but for the entire household. Now, if the information is deemed incorrect, then you get a full refund. So if you can prove that the phone number is incorrect, then you can get a full refund of your $3 for that property. So this is the associated people and everyone that is associated with this home. Now, you'll notice that underneath every owner or every person that lives at the home, you have a little button called track. What this means is that you can add this person, Samit, right now to your track, and it's like bookmarking the person. It's like saying we want to follow the person's activity. So by following the person, this means anytime the person decides to refinance, or anytime the person falls under bankruptcy, or maybe they list their property for sale, then we will be notified by Remine that there's activity with this person that we are tracking. Same thing goes if you wanted to track the entire property up here. If you track the entire property, you're going to know all activity that's going on with the property, from a foreclosure filing to perhaps a lien that was placed on the property, or maybe property taxes that were unpaid. What else can we get? We'll get if the property is listed on the MLS for sale or for rent, or if the MLS is active and it expires, it is also going to notify you. So tracking a property is very important inside of Remine for those of you that want to keep track of certain properties in a neighborhood. Now, in the upper left corner, you get to print all of these details simply by hitting print, and you're printing the entire report that you're looking at right here. Okay, so this is the information that you get per owner inside of Remine. And if you needed to go to your track to see what we see, you go right here to track, and you'll notice that we have the ability to track properties and people. I'm currently tracking 2 people. We have Raul Espinosa. This was someone I'm tracking from a previous class. And then we have today's track, which is Antonio Obispo, Samit Kumar. Now, if I wanted to delete my track, I simply select them, and then I can hit remove. If I wanted to generate mailing labels, then we can generate mailing labels, and then also I can download the list of my track to a CSV file. All right, so let's go ahead and remove these from my track. We're going to go ahead and hit yes, remove, and then we have cleaned out our track. We have no one in here. All right, let's go back to Discover, and let's start showing you all the powerful ways to use Remine for farming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate around this map, and we're going to focus on our neighborhood. So what I want to do is I want to zoom out, okay, and make sure that we know what we're looking at. So we are in Coral Gables, and this is the area that I want to study. I want to go ahead and study this area right here. Now, when people say they want to farm an area, they usually pick a very large area and often don't realize there's a lot of properties. So what you want to do is really concentrate on an immediate neighborhood that you either live in or that you want to farm. Now, you can draw a radius, you can draw a rectangle, or you can draw a polygon. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle and in this immediate area right here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and release, and this is the area in Coral Gables that I want to study. So right away, you'll notice off to the left, you have 760 results. And then right up here, you'll notice that we have the filter, which is the rectangle. If you want to delete the rectangle, simply click on the little X, and the rectangle is going to go away. If you want to navigate to another zip code, up here, you can come and you can put in zip code 33156 and then hit the results, and then it's going to highlight all of 33156 on your map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out and show you that all of 33156 is currently highlighted on the map. So if you want to zoom in on a particular neighborhood, we're going to go ahead and zoom in. And let's go ahead and study this neighborhood right here. So once again, here's my rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and select it. And I'm going to draw a rectangle, right around that neighborhood. And that would be my area of study. Now, what I want to do is I want to remove the zip code boundary. So right over here, we remove it. And we're left with this here. Okay. Now, notice how you don't see the little blue dots because we're too far away from the map. If we zoom in a little further, we are going to start to see blue dots. Those represent homes in this neighborhood. Currently looking at 319. So what I like to do first is I like to show you how to filter property types. So on the left, if you look for the building type, which is down below, and you open up building type and you say, we're looking for single family homes, and you hit apply, it's going to go ahead and cut out any property that's not a single family home. So all commercial properties, gone. All condos, gone. All townhouses, gone. So we're looking at only single family homes. Notice that the filter up here. All right. So now that we've got our property types chosen, now we can filter by bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, year built, lot size, basement, parking, or number of floors. My favorite thing to do is to use the filters that are on the left. So we're going to prospect this neighborhood, but we're going to prospect smartly. We're going to look for the right owners. We're going to look for the people that have an opportunity to sell. So the first filter we want to use is going to be Mls Status. So by selecting Mls Status, say I want to look for expireds. So we're going to click on expireds, and then we'll hit apply. And what we have here are 4 results. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you this again. We're going to go ahead and click on expireds, hit expireds, and right here we have an expired. Right here we have an expired. Another one here and another one here. All right. So when we hit apply, those are the expires. And if you want to see the owners in a list, off to the right you have show list, and this is your 4 expired properties inside of the neighborhood that you are focusing on. Click on any property to view the information of the property and listing information. I'm going to hide the list and then show you once again by selecting expired. Now what I want to do is I want to put in a date range, because previously I had not put in a date range. But now if I say we are going to start 3 months ago. So we'll go to August, July, all right, August, July, and June. And we're going to start, right around June 12th to today, apply, and I'm left with the same 4 results. So these are all recently expired listings. All right. So let's go ahead and show you. Here's one. Click on it. Okay. And this is a property that was listed for $849,000, and it was active on the market for 314 days. And we're going to go ahead and show you the pictures. This is a new construction. So let's look at another one. Here's another one. There you go. This is an expired listing, and when we click on it, we get to see all of the information from the listing. It was listed at $2.4 million. It expired, and here's the listing agent, the remarks, and the key stats of the property. Now to go back to my list, you want to go ahead and click on Discover, and that gets me back to where I was on the map. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom out on the map again so I can get a larger view of my entire farm area. And what I want to do now is I want to cancel my expireds right over here. We're going to go ahead and cancel the expireds, and we're looking at all the homes again. Now, I'm going to skip right over Airbnb. We're going to cover Airbnb a little later. I want to go ahead and focus on last sale price. So if you know this neighborhood and you know the price range of the homes in this neighborhood, a good thing to do would be to Sorry about that. A good thing to do would be to open this up and say, show me anyone that purchased here for less than $250,000. What are the chances? All right, hit apply, and you got 58 results. So it's 58 owners that when they last purchased their property, they purchased for less than $250,000. So if you want to see one of these owners, you're going to go ahead and click here. All right, and once you do click there, you're going to see that this house has a value of $2.4 million with a net equity of $2.4 million. And when I open up the property, all right, and I go take a look at the sales history, all right, you're going to see that this property was purchased, all right, well, actually, what we have is I picked on a property that is a transaction, but it was an intra-family transfer dissolution, so it was looks like a divorce. So let's pick on another property. Our luck. All right, let me go ahead and go back to Discover, and let me pick on another one here. All right, let's look at this one. All right, so this is a property that when I click on it, you're going to notice that the transaction, all right, for this property was for less, it should be for less than $250,000. And we're going to see, where is the property history? All right, property history. All right, so what I see is that it's picking up property history and saying that the last transaction was a rental transaction for less than $250,000. So that's also something that we may want to filter out. All right, so let's go back to Discover and let's try and use another one of these filters. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out this filter right here. And again, that was sale priced. Now, if you go over here and you look at the mortgage rate, all right, you can see who in this neighborhood has a mortgage rate of over 6% in interest by hitting apply. And everyone that you see here is paying higher than 6% in their mortgage. So when I click on one of these properties like this, all right, and I go into the property, I should see in the mortgage what their mortgage rate is, and it should be higher than 6%. All right, there you go. So have an original mortgage of $690,000 with a rate of 6.12%. All right. As realtors, why would we need this? I'm not quite sure if you really need it, but what I can tell you is that it is very useful information, especially for people that are, looking to farm for potential sellers. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close out that mortgage rate, and what I want to do is I want to show you ownership time. What do we have as far as ownership time? Well, we can figure out who's been here for more than 20 years, who's been here 0 to 5 years, 0 to 10 years. So let's see who's been in their home for more than 20 years by clicking on 20 plus years, hitting apply. And these are all my homeowners who have owned for more than 20 years. So when I click on one of them, once again, we're going to study this property and see that the property owner purchased, more than 20 years ago. You're going to go ahead and look down here. All right. And you'll see my goodness. So today is not a good day to determine this. I was trying to see if the property history, and then that one property I picked, there is no property history found. So let's try another property, all right? So this can't always happen. So let's pick this one over here, and let's go ahead and take a look at this one. And I expect to see that this owner has been here for more than 20 years. If not, then I just don't know what is happening. But here's the property history. And indeed, they purchased this home in 1997, making it over 20 years. So as you can see, some of the properties we find inside of the map, the system is using filters, and sometimes some of the properties slip through the cracks for whatever reason. So just make sure that you research your properties correctly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click on Discover. And as we know, in Florida, the average years owned is right around 7 years. Families decide to either move into a bigger home, downsize, the size of their family changes. So you want to go ahead and study the, say, 5 to 10 year range. And the 5 to 10 year range, let's remove the 20 year range right here. These are all the homeowners who have been there 5 to 10 years. These would be considered targets for my next sellers. These would be, if I were campaigning, I would be campaigning to all of these as my next sellers. So you ask, how do I track all of these? How do I get them onto a spreadsheet? How do I create labels? Well, currently we have 62 results. The idea, if you want to use Remine for free, the idea is remain under 100 results at all times. Because if you wanted to track more than 100, it's going to cost you an upgrade. But as long as you are below 100, you're able to hit track all. And then you're able to go to your track, click on property, all right, select all, and then print mailing labels. Let's go ahead and show you. All right, print mailing labels. We want to do the property owner at the property address with label type Avery 5160 and hit print. And what we are doing is that we're printing our labels. Okay, it was that easy. Now, if you wanted to download a spreadsheet, right over here on the right, you'll see download property CSV, and I'm going to call this Pinecrest. It's like naming the file. We'll call it Pinecrest, hit save, and it says we'll notify you in a few minutes when your download is ready. Okay, and there you go. Download is ready. Hit download, and what we're going to see is the CSV file opening up in your Excel. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, and here's the CSV file with all the information in Excel. You got your property addresses, you also have your mailing addresses, and you have who owns the property. All right, so let's close out our Excel file. Remember, if you want to clean your track, you simply select all, and then you want to remove everybody from your track. Remove everybody from your track, and then you no longer have anything here. Remember, the key to use this for free is to remain under 100 tracks at all times. Now, let's move back to Discover. All right, so that was our 5 to 10 year ownership time. Let's close that out. Another one of my favorite ones is mortgage age. Not because I want to know who's got a mortgage for 5 years, but I want to know who has no mortgage. So this filter here is the supreme important one to me, because these are people with 100% equity in their home. So by selecting has no mortgage and hitting apply, I have 108 owners who, if I were to click on one of these, all right, and I would actually go in, I would see that this is an absentee owner, so they do not live here. Notice who owns it. It's an LLC. And then down here, you'll notice that their equity on their property is exactly what the property is valued at, $1,341,000. And why? Well, because when they purchased the property, okay, when they purchased the property, they did not take out a mortgage. All right, here's the purchase in 2017 for $1,495,000. And here's the last mortgage on file, which is in 2012. So the current owner who purchased it in 2017 does not have a mortgage on the property. All right, so Going back to Discover right over here, you're going to go ahead and realize that the opportunities to get in touch with owners who have equity in their home, it's very simple. You're going to go ahead and, again, do mortgage age and do has no mortgage, hit apply. Obviously, you can use this filter to say, show me people with only 5 years with their mortgage, or people approaching the 20-year period, or past 20 years with their mortgage. Okay, let's go ahead and close that one out. And that by far is one of my favorite ones. Then we're going to skip a few of the others that require an upgrade and go to what they call self score. So the self score is this right here, and self scores are divided by low, median, or high. So a high self score is the system telling you these are the people with the highest possibilities to sell their property. So it's an algorithm used by Remine that takes into account the amount of years they've been at the property, the amount of equity they have on the home, the amount of interest they pay on their loans, and they decide whether these are owners with high, low, or median self-score. So out of all my owners in this area, I'm left with 5 owners who have a 50-50 chance of selling their property within the next 6 months. How do I know this? Because Remine tells you in their help section up here when we go to support. They tell you that the self score, the high self score, has a 50-50 chance of the property selling within the next 6 months. So if you go by this, these would be people that deserve your attention for listing the property. All right, so let's go ahead and remove self score. And then let's take a look at the very last filter down here called cash buyers. So what is a cash buyer? Well, it's someone who paid cash for their home, of course. Doesn't really mean they don't owe money on their home. However, you may purchase cash and then 2 years later decide you want to take out some equity, and you take out an equity line or you refinance your home. But for the most part, everyone with a little cash symbol in their home has equity, because if they purchase cash, then, for example, this house right here has a value of $2.7 million, and it has a net equity of $2.7 million. So for the most part, if they purchase cash, they are clean of any mortgages. And let me try and find you one that has a mortgage. So here's one that has, there you go. Here's someone that purchased cash. They have a value of $1.8 million, but they have a loan balance of $480,000, leaving you a net equity of $1.3 million. So let's go ahead and see what makes this happen. So when I go into the property and I follow the property history, you'll see when they purchased the property. So the property history is that they purchased it for $1 million back in the year 2000. All right. If you follow the mortgage history, you'll notice that they purchased it, okay, and they've taken out quite a few mortgages since then, okay? So it means that they are cash buyers. However, these particular owners actually mortgaged their home. All right, let's go back to Discover, and let's finish up with the Airbnb filter, which is up there. So let's go ahead and remove our cash symbols. All right, and then let's zoom out a little bit more. All right, and I'm going to zoom in one more time. There you go. And the Airbnb is basically, we want to locate properties that are possible investor owned. So when we click on Airbnb, you're going to notice that in this area, no one's listing. All right, no one's listing Airbnb. If I move away, all right, let's see, because where's my filter and how come it's not working? Airbnb there. All right, let's do it again. This is weird. This has never happened before. There you go. The entire neighborhood of Pinecrest is clean from Airbnb. Now, if you look over here to the left, there are some people listing their properties on Airbnb. And if I say click on one of them like this over here, you'll notice that on this listing here in Airbnb, it says that there's a very cozy bedroom for rent at $25 a night. All right, so interesting to know that that neighborhood I've been studying does not have any Airbnb listings. All right. So this would be your presentation for Remine. Of course, when you come to our prospecting class, we show you a bit more. But in a webinar, it's an overview of what we do with Remine. And what we're going to do now is that we're going to switch focus and we're going to go right into Rebogateway, which is the second part of our training. So I'm going to close Remine. And then we're going to go back to the Miami dashboard and we're going to look for Rebogateway. All right, so once we find Rebogateway, then we're going to go ahead and select Rebogateway. If you get an error message like I just did, you simply close it and open it back up. And let's cross our fingers that we get something, and yes, we do. All right, so here's the Rebogateway system, and you're going to need a login. So if you've already accessed Rebogateway in the past, then you can go ahead and click on Login off to the right, and you can log in. If this is your first time using Rebogateway, then you can click here to get your MLS benefit. You'll see it right here. You will enter whatever email you have on file with the association, and then you will hit Retrieve Login Information. What this does is it's going to email you a temporary password, which you will receive from Rebogateway, and then you will proceed with your login after you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in to Rebogateway and show you how we would use this program for farming. Now, Rebogateway has two accounts that you have access to. The first account is going to be the free account. The free account is the one that is paid with your membership to the association, and that one's called the Tracked Utility. And then there's an additional account that you can gain access to that you would have to pay for on a monthly basis, and that one's called Leads and Farms. So in this overview of Rebogateway, I'm going to show you how to use both, and then you determine if paying for leads from Rebogateway is worth it for your business. I certainly do believe it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on Tracked Utility, all right, and then we're going to remain in Miami-Dade County, and we're going to do a boundary search. You can do a radius search. I'm going to do a boundary search. That means that I want to draw a polygon around a neighborhood. So I'm going to zoom in, and let's focus on a neighborhood, all right, that I see right here. Let's focus on this neighborhood here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw here, here, there, down here, and then up the road. And that's the neighborhood I want to focus on. So when I hit Find Tract, all right, and I hit Single Family Home and Submit, what I'm getting is 3 subdivisions within this neighborhood of single family homes. Okay, so we got a subdivision called East Shenandoah AMD REV with 64 units. Now this subdivision has 64 units with a total of 3 active listings and 4 sales within the last 12 months. That's a 6.25% turnover. The turnover usually represents the amount of activity in a subdivision over a 12-month period. Now, looking at the average price, the homes are selling at $528,000, and the non-owner ratio is 17%. That means that 17% of the homes do not have homestead exemption, and they're possibly owned by investors. Now, the next subdivision in here has 17 homes with 1 active listing and 1 sale in 12 months. That leaves you at a 5.88% turnover rate. And the last one has the majority of the homes at 348 homes, and there are currently 13 active listings in here with 14 sales in the last 12-month period at an average of $562,000. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and click on this subdivision and show you that you get all the owners, every single owner for every property in the subdivision down here in the list. And what can you do with these owners? Of course, you can save this or you can export this into a CSV file. So let's show you how to export. I'm going to go ahead and click on export, confirm, and then it is now throwing my export into my downloader, and here it is. Here's my export with all 300 owners in a subdivision inside of an Excel file. You do get the mailing address, you also get the property address and who owns the property and the entire property transaction history. Now, if you wanted to, say, filter out some of these owners, you can use some of the filters we have here on the left, like investor. Investor is going to give you that percentage of homeowners who do not have homestead exemption. So instead of getting the full 348 units, all right, what I'm getting is the amount of properties that do not have homestead exemption. 65 properties. These are all non-owner occupied. So these would be considered my investors. Okay. Another interesting feature would be the empty nesters. Empty nesters will give you another group of people that are considered empty nesters based on whatever survey has been passed out and also the amount of years they've owned in their property and the fact that websites like the White Pages knows everyone's age. So, you know, not that people that are in the middle age cannot have kids at home, but usually they don't have kids at home. So that would be the empty nesters. And then my favorite would be the next sellers. So the next sellers would actually study an algorithm built by Rebogateway that goes back to 1919. So this year is the low of the years built for the homes. So we've got an older neighborhood here. And then 1949 would be the year's median. So what does the next seller do? Well, they're going to go ahead and say, based on these numbers and how often there is a transaction in the subdivision, the years owned median and average is set to 9.3 years. So right around 9 years. So next sellers, it's going to give you those people who purchased 9 years ago. So these would be, by law of average, the people who are next up to sell their property. I think that if you target the next sellers in any subdivision, you have an opportunity, an excellent opportunity to gain a listing from just targeting the next sellers. So remember this, because we teach this in class, and these are people that are bound to sell. Not all of them, but maybe one. And one is just enough. Trust me, it's enough, effort. So we can save this form and we can export this form as well. So that's what you can do for free. We can do this for any subdivision. We're going to go ahead and show you this again. We're going to do this one now for condos. Do a boundary search. And let's focus in here on South Beach. Let's go ahead and close in on South Beach. And I want to do the area south of 5th Street. So here we go. Here, one, down here, there, here, and then here. All right, so we've got our polygon, and then we hit find tract, and now we want to start the condos. So condominiums, hit submit, and then of course you're going to get a lot of pins in here because there is a lot of buildings within this area. So underneath, once again, you get all of your buildings, and they're coming in with their turnover rate. So the 260 Euclid condo has 18 units and 4 sales within the last 12 months. That gives you a 22% turnover. So there's activity here. All right. Let's look at one of the larger buildings. So if I look over here and I continue to go down and I find a building like Continuum in South Beach, that one has 381 units with 29 sales in the last 12 months at $3.7 million average price. So this is an excellent way for us to study a neighborhood and identify which market is perfect for us. All right, so now you use the free version. How do you use the paid version? Well, the paid version obviously will get you some more leads. Leads that are, in general, free to access, but hard to find. So what you need to do is you're going to go to Rebogateway's lead farms after you pay a fee of $45 per month. You don't have to do an annually contract. You can go month to month. And once you have paid it, now you can go here to Leads and Farms and we can study affidavit deaths. So what the system does is it scans the court records on a day-to-day basis and it identifies any homeowner who has passed away. And when they do pass away, they usually have a beneficiary who inherits the home, and that information is given to you. Then you also have bankruptcy cases. It's going to scan the court system and look for any homeowners who have filed for bankruptcy. Same goes for divorce. Any homeowners who have filed for divorce. Usually when a divorce occurs, something needs to happen with the house. Either the one of the spouses keeps the home, or maybe the agreement is to sell or rent the home. So it's a good idea to go after them. I know it's kind of creepy, but it's being done by people farming all the time. So let's get to it. Then we have our empty nesters. We have our for sale by owners. I caution people on that for sale by owner because we see lots of for sale by owners on websites like Zillow, and when we actually call, there's actually a realtor behind it. So for sale by owners is a good filter. However, some of the properties that you'll see in for sale by owner are actually represented by a realtor. You have things like REOs, and you have non-owner out of state. You got notice of list pendants. You got probate cases and tax defaults. So I'm going to give you a rundown of a few of them. So death. All right. Unfortunately, you know, everyone experiences this once in a while, hopefully not too soon. And then what we do is let's go ahead and select the city of Miami. Let's go with a big city. So city of Miami, and let's go ahead and jump back to the beginning of the year. So since the January 1st marker all the way to today's date, how many homeowners have passed away in Miami-Dade County? So we're going to go ahead and see that it gives me 57 homeowners who have passed away. And when you look at it, you have I don't know how a corporation passes away, but we'll take their word on that. You have over here a Cira Rodriguez passed away, and the beneficiary would be Eddie Sanchez. Same thing with Humberto Rojas, and then who keeps the property? Helvi Rojas. And then here we have another corporation passing away, and then Versailles LLC also keeping it. So I'm not too sure why I see some LLCs in here, but what we should see is this. We should see a lead history that says an affidavit death, and this one occurred on May 16th. Deceased is Hani, and beneficiary is Victor, what I assume to be a family member, being the beneficiary of the home. All right. So that would be your deaths, and let's come up here and switch focus, and let's go to divorce cases. Divorce cases, again, it is public information. However, you'll probably end up spending a lot of time in the court records looking for divorce cases, and then trying to figure out whether they're homeowners or not. The beauty of Rebogateway is that they'll do it for you. So once I select divorce cases, there's been 1,277 over the limit in Miami. So let's try and do say Miami Gardens. All right, Miami was way too big. So in Miami Gardens, there's 61 divorce cases. Just like the deaths, it's going to give you this. It's going to give you lead history, and it tells you that this is a dissolution of marriage, and you have the plaintiff, Judith Lopez, and Judith is divorcing William Antonio Garay. And then what you have is the file number or the case number for the divorce, and you can look at here on the right, you can look at owner information. All right, owner information right here. Primary owner would be William and Margarita, and they purchased the property for $110,000 back in 2002. Property information, tax information, they are current with their tax bill. And then, you want to go ahead and reach out to Margarita or William and see what their decision will be with their home, because they have now gotten divorced as of May of this year. All right, so that's another way that we can farm for possible business. And let me show you one more, and this would be the tax defaults. There's a lot of business going on right now, a lot of investors looking for tax defaults. So let's stick to Miami Gardens and hit tax default and hit search. And what we're going to find is the amount of people in Miami Gardens that have defaulted on their property tax bill. The number could be large. So we'll go ahead and see it is large. It's 1,373. So let's just pick on one of them just to show you exactly what we're talking about. The lead history, okay. Owner information right here, and then tax, and it says that this owner has an unpaid tax amount of $922 as of 2015. So this is their 2015, which is pretty sad because $922 isn't much, unpaid taxes as of 2015. So the system will scan the court and see who has not paid their property tax and let you know in a filter called tax defaults. So you get all of this in the leads and farms for the amount of $45 per month. Again, this is on a month-to-month basis, and you get the tracked utility, which allows you to look at the investor-owned properties and also the next sellers for any subdivision, also allowing you the ability to download a spreadsheet of all the owners. So you get all of this with your membership to Rebogateway. So together, both Rebogateway and Remine will provide you access to farming in neighborhood smartly and proving that you will get results by using these programs. Again, folks, this has been a presentation of our prospecting and farming course using Remine and Rebogateway. For more on this class, you can always log into MiamiRealtors.com, and you will look for prospecting and farming with Remine and Rebogateway that we usually have at our association, which usually lasts about 2.5 hours. This is Robert Rodriguez, and I want to thank you again for watching. Remember that we will be placing this webinar in our website later on today. And if you want to take this webinar again, we do have it available in Spanish coming up at 1 o'clock p.m. I will stay around for questions via chat. And if you have questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.